Hello, can you see me or is my light? Hang on, the light looks a bit bright in here, so give me a sec. Right, that's better. I was talking to a few guys the other night, and someone said that they wanted me to do a Doctor Who video because they haven't done one of those in a while. So I thought I would give it a go. So when somebody turns up in my chat, we will start. I thought I'd do a Q&A. A Q&A video on Doctor Who. You can ask away at me with when it comes to Doctor Who stuff. It's all right. Just we're a minute into the live stream, and there's one person watching by the look of it. Hello, that person. So this is a Q&A. So I was talking to a couple of guys the other night, and they sort of said to me my list of my geekiness hobbies I'm into, and they sort of guessed what order they come in. So number 3 was the X-Men. Number 2 was Judge Dredd, and number 1 was Doctor Who. And I don't do enough Doctor Who videos on my channel. So as you can see behind me is my collection of memorabilia, Doctor Who memorabilia. So I thought I'd do a Q&A. So I'll wait till some people come into my chat and they can ask me some questions about my collection or about a certain doctor or what. And we'll go from there, eh? So I haven't been in this room for a while when it comes to doing videos and showing my collection off again. So this is my Doctor Who collection. There's the Doctor Who magazines down here. We've got all the doctors up there, apart from the current Doctor who hasn't started yet. Over there we've got minifigures, we've got boxed figures, autograph figures, there's shelves of books, all sorts of stuff from its history, all over the place. I've got quite a good wee collection of Doctor Who memorabilia. So, yeah. We'll start. Well, actually, I'll just start. We'll start with my picks for let's say my favourite stories. Okay, let's start with that. So my top 5 stories would be Genesis of the Daleks. That has to be in there. The first Davros story it is, with the Fourth Doctor, the first Fourth Doctor Dalek story. Sarah Jane Smith, Harry, and the Fourth Doctor are sent by the Time Lords to Skyro to stop the Daleks. And it's got a famous scene in it where the Doctor has the opportunity to destroy the Daleks, and he can't do it. And yeah, it's a famous scene where he's got these 2 wires, and it's quite a famous story. That's one of my picks. It always is in the top 5 Doctor Who stories when it comes to lists. The next one that I like, this is not because they're popular, would be The Tomb of the Cybermen. It's a black and white second Doctor story. I think it's not up there, but The Tomb of the Cybermen. It's was it 1966? Maybe 1966. That story. And it's Patrick Troughton was the Doctor, with Victoria and Jamie as his companions. And they stumble. Hey, Don, how are you? And they stumble across these archaeologists who find the last tomb of the Stonemen. So they go and investigate, and there's all sorts of naughty stuff going on with some of the archaeologists. They're after power and all that, as they do. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. So this is just a Q&A on Doctor Who. I thought, because everybody says to me, I've had a yarn to a couple of guys, and they was telling me that I should do a Doctor Who video. So I thought I would start with a Q&A. So I'm just sort of going. I sort of started a conversation with my top stories. So I went with the Genesis of the Daleks, Don, which I think is a classic. First Davros story. It's Fourth Doctor, Harry and Sarah Jane. It's on Skyro. It's got a lot going for it. And have you seen that story, Don? I think it's an absolute great story. And my second choice is Tomb of Cybermen, second Doctor story with Victoria and Jamie. And it just was a great story. It was missing for years. It's one of the missing adventures that was found in 1992. Tomb of Cybermen was, and then quickly released on the VCR. Yeah, it's brilliant, eh? And it's right in the monster era for me when it comes to Doctor Who. The black and white monsters, that's what they're coming ripping out of their tombs like. So great story. And I actually watched it recently. I've actually watched both of these stories recently. So yeah. So another story, everybody goes on about the story, but we need a modern one in amongst these two classic stories, and that would be Blink. Absolutely, Blink deserves to be in that category. It is a scary story. I like the scary Doctor Who stuff, and David Tennant is amazing in it, and so is the actress who plays Sally Sparrow. Fantastic. She should have been a companion. I think it is right up here. It's Stephen Moffat's greatest story. I don't think Stephen Moffat hit the mark when he took over as showrunner. Oh, one of my fingers fell down. But that is one of the greatest stories ever. For my liking, it is. Just well written, well acted, and the whole timeline thing works. Timey-wimey thing works really well in it. So the Weeping Angels are fantastic in it, and I'd like to hear what your picks as well, Don. So that's my third choice. Should we go with another modern Doctor Who story? And we will go with The Waters of Mars, another David Tennant story. I like the horror side of it. The Doctor had a choice to save those people or let them die on that planet. He chose to save them. He got a bit godlike in it too. It went to his head a wee bit, and he paid the price for that, with that at the end of it. It's quite a cool concept with the water infecting people, and they wanted to get onto that spaceship to go to Earth, to infect Earth. Yeah, absolutely. If Sally was a companion, it would have been fantastic. So Waters of Mars, I like the scary bit of it, and I like the characters. It was another good story. Great to sort of lead into the 10th Doctor's end of his life. Very cool. We sort of cryptic things going on about how the knock on the thing and that. So Waters of Mars, I rate that story. The Empty Child was absolutely great. Probably, for me, it's probably the best 9th Doctor story, The Empty Child and the Doctor Dances. Absolutely. Hello, Splash. How are you? This is a bit of a Q&A, Splash, on Doctor Who. One of the guys in the off-airs the other night was going on about my videos and said that I should do more Doctor Who content. So I thought I would do a Q&A. So I'm sort of started with my picks for stories. So another one from the classic era for me is Inferno. Have you watched that, Don? Inferno is a 3rd Doctor story. It's the last story of the first season of John Pertwee's era. It's about alternative realities. It's about going into a virtual reality, different reality to the one that he was from, a parallel universe. That's what it is there. Oh, you should, Don. And they're drilling into the core of the Earth. Scientists and UNIT protecting this area, and the Doctor is, of course, a scientific advisor with his companion Liz Shaw, who's quite a smarty pants as well. And the Brigadier, you got Sergeant Benton. But the thing is, this green sludge comes out of the core of the Earth, and one of the guys touches it, and it infects him, and he starts to become this primate creature that loves heat, and every time he touches another person, they get infected with that sludge, and they think, and the Doctor is trapped in this parallel universe to his own, which is I think it's about 2 hours in the future to the current one, and he's trapped in this other alternative parallel universe where the Brigadier is a nasty dictator sort of guy character, and all the unit soldiers are like Nazis, and they interrogate the Doctor, and they think he's a spy, and at the same time, something's going on, and the Earth is going to destroy. The more they drill into the core of the Earth, the planet's it's destroying the planet, and so the Doctor manages to convince the parallel universe, Liz Shaw, that there's something wrong, and more of these soldiers and scientists get infected with this goo. And the Doctor has to get back to his own reality. Plus, at the same time, his TARDIS is broken because the Time Lords in Time War Games, the last Second Doctor, took his capacity to time travel away from him. So he's built this. He's got his TARDIS to work, sort of. Yeah, you should, Don. Yeah. Yeah, Splash. So that's what I'm. So where was I up to? Yeah, so Don Inferno is in my picks of best Doctor Who stories. Absolutely. So I picked that one. Hello, Evan. How are you? So it's a fantastic story. So you should watch that, Don. Hello, Gomez. How are you? What's been happening? I thought I'd do a Doctor Who video because some people have said to me that I should. So who's on first? Don was the first one. You're second, and Gomez. Evan was third, and Gomez is fourth. Is that what you're going on about? So then there is the Ark in Space. It's the second, fourth Doctor story, and Harry, Sarah, and the Doctor travel to a space station, and the Doctor's feeling new because he's still working out this regeneration. Sarah gets herself in a bespotted bother, and the Doctor has to try and save her, but they find a group of the last surviving humans are in hibernation, deep sleep, but there's an alien on the space station, and it's infected one of it's infected the captain of the space station, and he's turning into this big, huge slug creature thingy called the Worm. I think that's what you call them, the Worm. And so it's a race between the Doctor has to save these people, save his companions, and destroy the Worm because they want to invade Earth. I love it. I love that sort of science fiction space station stuff. So that's why I picked that one. William Hartnell was the first Doctor. Yep. So I would pick Ark in Space. It's one of my favourites. I like it. Another favourite of mine would be the what's called the Romans. It's a first Doctor story, and it's such a funny story. The first Doctor is heading to Rome with Vicky, I think it's Vicky, and Ian and Barbara. But on their travels, they all get lost. I think Ian gets captured and becomes a slave and escapes. Ian and Barbara are slaves. Barbara becomes a slave of a Roman emperor. The doctor goes there and saves Vicky, such and such. It's just a funny story. They keep missing each other by a couple of seconds. It's just a classic. I love it. It's just the way it was written. You should watch that one, Don. It's a great story. It's one of the best First Doctor stories, in my opinion. So the Romans, fantastic story. Another First Doctor story that's on my list is the Dalek invasion of Earth. You can't beat it. It's a fantastic story. The Daleks finally invade Earth. There's a group of resistance that are fighting the Daleks and losing. The Doctor's not very well. They try to robotize him, make him a robot, Robo-Man. They enslave the human race. They're mining for minerals. And I think it's a 6-parter, and I would highly recommend it to anybody that wants to watch black and white Doctor Who. It's one of the better black and white ones. Some of the early Doctor Who is a bit hard to watch, but to me that is one of my favourites. So what I'm going to do is ask you guys, does he make a surprise cameo in Deadpool 2? I didn't know that. Or you're just having us on. Ask me a Doctor Who question and I'll see if I can answer it. Any of you guys. Don, have you got one for me? Or I can ask you, Don, a Doctor Who question. It's up to you. Don, do you get the Doctor Who magazine? So we have got 4 watching. Thank you for coming into my chat, guys. There we go. So I've just worked out this. So this is pretty cool. There you go. Did the Doctor ever bang Captain Jack? I don't think so. I think the Captain Jack wanted to bang the 10th Doctor, though. But he's not gay. So Captain Jack is an alien, so he likes everybody. That's how I see it with Captain Jack. You should get the Doctor Who magazine, Don. It is fantastic, this book. I have been subscribed to the DWM for many, many years. So I have got quite a few of them. There's piles down here. There's piles down there of them. Best reference thing going around when it comes to Doctor Who. You have some older magazines? Okay, cool. There you go. So you're all moderators on my channel now. So there you go. If anybody plays up, you can get rid of them for me. That'd be cool. So ask away. Anybody else want to ask me anything about Doctor Who or my history with the show or what? I am actually going to a con. If we're going to talk comics, I'm going to a con in 2 weeks. I think it's the 4th of June. So I'll be humming through dollar bins and that for comic books. Can you beat yourself? No, I want you to stay in my chat. Splash. So, also, I want you to thumb this video up. Can you give me a thumbs up? So, it is 1 o'clock in the afternoon here. So, no Doctor Who people are coming this year. What is my favourite Sonic design? I like this one. This is the 3rd Doctor's. It's the second sonic screwdriver. The second Doctor in Fury of the Deep was the first time that the sonic screwdriver made its appearance. The fourth Doctor had one without the yellow and black red thing in it. The fifth Doctor had his for the first season, and it got destroyed in the Visitation, and the Doctor didn't have one. The fifth, the sixth, and the seventh. I think the seventh got a sonic in the Doctor Who movie, and the Doctor's had one ever since. But yeah, that's how old the sonic screwdriver goes back, to the second Doctor. He uses it in Fury from the Deep, which sadly does not exist anymore, that story. Oh, did you want to beat someone else? Did you want to beat Evanoff, did you? So, Don, what's your most expensive bit of Doctor Who merc that you have in your collection? So while I'm waiting, I will show you some Doctor Who reference books that I've got down here. So we've got the big book of lists that I got from my mate Bob, who's a big Doctor Who fan as well. It's quite kind of cool. It's a very cool book. Because they're right here, I might as well, while I'm waiting. So we got the Encyclopedia of the Worlds of Doctor Who. This is the late 80s logo, as you can see. Seventh Doctor's logo. We've got monsters and villains. I love my Doctor Who reference books. When I see them cheap, I will pick them up. So we've got a Cyberman one. We've got Aliens and Enemies. So this come out right at the beginning of the reboot. So we're Companions and Allies. Oh, cool. Well, I'll have to watch that, Don. So we've got one of my favourite reference books, The Doctor Who File by Peter Haining. So this is quite a cool book. If you can pick this book up, it's got a lot of rare archive photos, so on. That's a cool book. I picked this up recently. This is a Doctor Who annual from 1979. It's pretty cool. It's a comic, so I like it. Bought that for $5. Then I've got this version of that same book, but it's thicker. See? It's a bigger bound annual, which has got all the Doctors. As you can see, someone's poorly drawn the fifth Doctor, as he must have just been announced as the Doctor at this time. But that's kind of cool. We've got 1986 Doctor Who annual. I actually seem to have... I didn't realise I've got this twice. So, there you go. I got it twice. So, why not? Why have one when I can have doubles? Yeah, man. What did you say? Doctor Who and the hell is that? So we've got another Doctor Who annual. It's kind of cool. We've got the Dalek annual from 1978. I think this reprints a lot of the, some of the 60s Dalek stories. So that's kind of cool. We've got a Doctor Who special effects reference book. We've got the very first ever Doctor Who annual from 1960. Is it 1964? This is pretty old. It's a pretty cool book to have. if you're a Doctor Who collector, this is the sort of stuff that you want to try and get hold of. So we've got the very first ever Doctor Who reference book that I got in the 80s. Yeah, no worries, Gomez. So this, I bought this, it'd be mid-80s. This is a reprint of the 1970s Doctor Who monster book. But this is what got me hooked into Doctor Who, this book. I used to read the heck out of it. And I've still got this, so I love it. I love this book. This is a fantastic book. Does the book? I don't know. He wears braces, if that's anything to go by. So that's a cool book in my collection that I have. Then we've got Absalom Daak, the Dalek Killer, and this is by what's his name? He died last year. Steve Dillon. Steve Dillon drew this book, so fantastic stuff. The Seventh Doctor. That's from the pages of the Doctor Who magazine. So we got some more. So we've got A Chick Unravels Time, a woman's journey through every season of Doctor Who. I haven't actually read this. I should read it. It's a pretty cool reference book. This is the book I brought in the 80s. This is Terry Nation, who created the Daleks. So, Dalek Special book. It's pretty cool. It's a cool book. Then we've got the scripts, Doctor Who scripts, The Talons of Wing Chun, another one of the all-time classic Doctor Who stories. Highly recommend this book. It's a great book. Oh, they're all going over the place. Then we've got License Denied. And this is by Paul Cornell. Paul Cornell is famous for Human Nature, the story where the Doctor wipes his memory and goes on Earth undercover, hiding from those aliens. So that is a great wee reference book. Oh, something fell down then. But here's another cool Doctor Who thing. We've got Countdown magazine. It's a comic. So it's from the 1970s, but I think it dates back into the 60s. So we've got Joe 90, if you've ever heard of the comic called Joe 90. They probably went commando. Well, they are Time Lords. They might not have those things down there that we all have, so they probably don't need to wear that sort of stuff. But the cool thing about this is it's got Thunderbirds in it, and it's got Jerry Anderson's UFO. Jerry Anderson, who may have created Thunderbirds and UFO, he also had a part to do in Doctor Who. I think he was like a designer for the early monsters. So, but it's got early Third Doctor adventures in this magazine, which is kind of cool. So that's a cool comic to have. Here's a book I got back in 1983. This is an upgrade version to the original one I had, but this is celebrating 20 years of Doctor Who. And I remember the day that I got this from my mum and dad. This is a fantastic reference book for the time it came out. It's an amazing book. I know sadly don't have the original, but this was the only way we could find out what the story names of the stories were, because they were all in the back. That's the only time I knew that there was another Doctor coming. As you can see, it's got a list of all the stories in order, and this was the first reference book that I had when it came to knowing what stories and what the information for each story was. So I'm glad that I've got a really, really nice copy of this book. It also had a list of all the companions. It told you who the companions were up to a certain period, and it had a story. So this is a great book in my collection. I love it. So the 20th anniversary special. I might get that someday autographed by a couple of the doctors. We've got this. You would have seen this before. This is signed by Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman. I was privileged enough to meet both of these two great people. Peter Capaldi is amazing, an amazing person in real life. Fantastic guy to meet. If you ever get the chance, Don, you should meet him. So here's an old Doctor Who Target book called The Demon. And I have got mine signed by John Levine. And John Levine is the guy who played Sergeant Benton. I met him in Hamilton, up north in the North Island. You want to meet them and get their autographs? Yeah, man. I don't know if I've ever shown you this, Don. But there you go. So that's just, that was pretty cool. Yeah, have you not met a doctor yet? I've met five so far. So these are the best reference books in my collection. If you want to learn a bit more about the 60s, the 70s, and the 80s of Doctor Who, these three books are the books that you need to buy. So we've got the 60s, probably the best ever reference book when it comes to Doctor Who, hands down. So have you bought any books? You guys bought any comics lately while I'm here? So we've got the 70s. Fantastic articles. It's just got every single bit of information you need to learn. And then I used to use these books all the time if I needed to find out something. It's all here. So there's the 70s. I heard a rumor that they were going to do the new series as well. And we've got the 80s. So these are great books. Great books to own. Yeah. So we've got this is a bit of fanzine from New Zealand. I was part of the New Zealand Doctor Who fan club back in the 80s and 90s. And this is the very last ever. It was called Time Space Visilator and TSV. And this is the very last issue. So I got Peter Davidson, the Fifth Doctor, to sign my copy of it. So that's a cool bit of Doctor Who fanzine to own. A guy called Paul Scones, and there was quite a few other guys, John Pridley, and all sorts of guys who used to write on that. So we've got the Doctor Who Adventures #1. This is a kids comic that came out in its early days of the reboot. So I've got #1. It's kind of cool. So we've got a signed Doctor Who magazine by Paul McGann. Yeah, well, you should. It'll be cool, Don. It's always cool when you meet somebody from the show. So we've got a comic, a graphic novel, The Mark of Mangaradra, or whatever it's called. So this is artwork by, I think it is Dave Gibbon. Some of this artwork looks it. So that's kind of cool. The Seventh Doctor and Ace. Ace is one of my favourite companions, actually. So still going through reference books. When I've finished this pile of reference books, this will be the end of the video, okay? So we've got the Gallifrey Chronicles, another cool Doctor Who reference book that I have. This has got a lot of cool articles in it about the history of the show and a lot of rare photos. It's a cool book. It's another one of my reference books that I used to use a lot. This is celebrating 30 years of the show. And as you can see all the Doctor's heads. This has got a lot of cool photos, original art in it. A lot of wee articles about every year that the show was screening at the time. It's a cool book. If you ever come across this book, Don, you should go for it. It's amazing. So we've got another one of my great reference books that I have. How do you feel about a female doctor, Don? Is it going to be... So this is by a guy called Andrew Skilty. And this is all his art that he did during the 70s and 80s for Doctor Who, the Target novels. So these are kind of cool. So I think it is. I think these are amazing bits of his art. If I had a brain, I would have got those pictures signed by the actors when I met them, but I didn't. So, so we've got another Doctor Who annual. We have got the storybook from 2007. It's a nice bit of art. If I was going to, I would probably get this autographed by David Tennant and Billie Piper if I ever get to meet them. I probably would. We've got the first Doctor Who annual from the reboot. It's kind of cool. It's got some nice art in it. I would like to meet Billie Piper. I think she would be amazing. So, yeah, it's a cool annual to have. Well, from what I hear, if you like Russell T Davis's version of Doctor Who, I think you're going to like this series coming up. It's just what I've heard. So we've got classic Who, the Hinchcliffe Years, season 12 and 14. It's a great book. I picked this up 25 years ago for a couple of bucks. So it's got some old photos in it. It's a pretty cool book to have. I think she'll be fine. I think she's going to be good. So we've got the Harper Classic Years. It's a pretty cool book. If I can remember Graham Harper, is it? Did he go on to produce and direct some of the newer ones? Age of Steel, I think, and was it the end of time? I think so. I think he did. Hey Ray, what's happening, man? Do you want one of these? I'll give you one of these, eh? There you go. So, what's been happening, Ray? So we've got the Dalek Omnibus. It's an old book. And this has just got a lot of articles on the Daleks. It's got some cool artwork in it. It's pretty cool. Just some cool stuff that I would never have seen before. Just designs on what they would storyboards. There's articles. There's scripts. Another cool Doctor Who reference book. Oh, did that not work? I thought I just made you a mod. Oh. No, it's not letting me. Nope. Okay. I don't know why. Sign into the chat. Okay, I don't know what's going on there, Ray. I thought I had made you a mod. No, it's for some reason. It won't let me. Can you all still hear me? You can, can't you? I will next time, Ray. I will next time. So we've got this reference book. This is, it's not a reference book. It's a pop-up book, Don. Are you still there? So, here we go. Oh, yeah. So this has got kind of cool sort of stuff. Here we go. There you go. See? I don't know why I bought this, but it's got all sorts of weird things. Like you can pull wee triggers on it, and it does stuff. It's a nice wee book. I only bought it because it looked cool. It looked nice. So yeah, right at the hype of the David Tennant era. So we've got the 40th anniversary book. This cost me an arm and a leg at the time to get. Oh, I might have. Yeah, that's possibly right. Sorry, you missed out there, Ray. So this is another great book. I know there's a 50th updated version of this. But, yeah, it's got a lot of cool stuff in it. A lot of cool stuff. This is a great book to have in my collection. And one more thing. We've got a Doctor Who 1977 annual. So, yeah, I don't know why that wasn't over here. But, oh, I see why. It won't fit there. Oh, and we've got a Nintendo Commodore 64 Doctor Who video game, computer game, which is cool. To Claire's tooth gap? Who's that? Clara's tooth gap. I'm sorry. So I'm going to call it right now, guys. Thank you very much. I think I'll be doing more Doctor Who videos from now on. My comic videos at the moment are getting less and less, but I promise you I will be doing more comic videos. I've got a box coming from GPAP from Canada. I've got probably got some book boxes coming from Evan in the next couple of months, and I'll have a con haul in a couple of weeks, so I'll be doing a video then. So yeah, we'll catch you later. If you want to ever, Don, if you ever want to come into a hangout sometime, or Gomez, just hit one of us up. I'm sure we can do something about that. So we can talk comics or whatever you want to do. Okay, so I'll catch you all later. Thank you for joining me. See ya.